Hey boys and girls. Alright, today we're going to look at the Blender 3D assets that I'm selling. That way it gives you a general idea of the different type of options you have out there when it comes to purchasing assets or finding assets. So let's get going. So these here are basically scenes. We'll start off with the scenes first, and basically I'll scrub through them really quick just so you can see the different scenes that you'd be able to use in a show. So basically when I hit play, not scrub through, you can see how the camera just moves around and it'll stop periodically in different positions where you can set up different scenes that you want to put together. Just adding characters, whatever you want to add. Basically your imagination and creativity is pretty much up in the air for grabs for adding whatever you want to these shows. Later on I'll demonstrate with one of these clips on how you actually use them. Okay, this is a mountain scene that I did. Once again, the camera basically kind of floats through different nooks and crevices of these mountains. And what I did for a show was put Santa Claus in a sleigh with reindeer, and he just kind of flies around and looks around and stuff. But it actually came out pretty cool. And then I used a background of, I think it was the Aurora Borealis type skyline that I used in the background for this. All these come with alpha backgrounds. So the first one isn't going to have an alpha background because that's a complete scene with the sky. This one here is technically just the mountains. So this is all alpha background. You don't have any black to remove. You would just put this into your show and then add your creation to it. And if you notice, this is rendered in 4K, so it actually gives you that option to either do what I do and reduce the size down once I actually render out the show, or if you can play 4K, if you have your map set up, I should say, and your projector is 4K, can handle 4K, then you can shoot it in 4K. This particular one I did for the Santa train ride mountain show that I did, so basically this just buzzes around following the track and then basically ends at the house. So that's another scene with alpha background. The next ones are actually trains. Not technically scenes, but just trains, different movements of the trains, different angles of these trains coming by. And I'm pretty sure I shot these in 4K too. I don't have them labeled as 4K, but I use these in the Santa train run, some of them. And you can add whatever you want. I put Santa Claus on top of a few of these things riding through. You can put Christmas wreaths or whatever you want to add to them. Now we're into the characters. Once again, alpha backgrounds. And this one I used in the zombie pirate ship show that I created. And you got a werewolf doing different poses. All the characters I tried to pretty much do the most common poses that people are going to want. The running, the crouching, basically the idols, and different angle views. That way if they're putting something together, they can use them in different segments of the show and they don't look the same. A lot of these too, when I built them, I made them loopable. So if you took one of these clips and just kept putting it back to back to back, it would look like it's constantly moving with no interruption, which is extremely helpful when you're keyframing characters in a show, so you don't have to keep finding the spots where it matches up to the prior one where you left off. These trees, later on you'll see them in the Godzilla character that I created. Basically, you would just put them however you want. You can use 1, 2, 3. You can duplicate them, build yourself a forest if you really wanted to. And if these don't look as sharp as you're viewing them, it's probably because I'm using a screen recorder, then I put them to Power Director, and then from Power Director they go to YouTube. So they're being handled a lot before you actually can view them. And each one of those is, I'm using the free versions because you can get so carried away with paying for this, paying for that, paying for this, paying for that, that next thing you know you have a $600 a month bill from everything that you're subscribed to or paying for. So that's why originally Davinci Resolve I used the free version, and then later on when I found out it was a one-time fee versus A&E where you got to pay monthly, one-time fee, I jumped aboard that, and now I do all my shows with Davinci Resolve Studio, which I don't really think there's a huge difference between Studio and the free version, besides you get some extra things that you can do with the effects and stuff. So, but the free version of Davinci Resolve is actually really good too. These Snoopy ones I used in the Charlie Brown show that I did. These are basically a lot of crushed type skulls. So you could use them on a haunted house as like on the facade. You can use them more towards the ground. If you were doing a Terminator show, you could actually use them on the ground as like the Terminators walking around. But I think I used these in a couple of shows. I can't remember if I took them out or not. They might even actually be in the Lost Boys show that I used a few of these on, and the spider webs. Everything is HD, so you can enlarge these things and they still look good. These files are, you get a few walking skeletons, crawling skeleton, and if you need something a particular color, I can change the color schemes around on this stuff like this. I can change him to just be white or even like a burnt black. These are like the pictures you've seen above the crushed skeleton stuff, but I animated this one just because I placed this in one of my shows. I had this place in a couple of spots where the eyes, light up and then they go dim just for a different effect. I thought that was kind of cool to have them kind of glow like that. And then you get the lighting that changes behind it. And the rest of these are basically just lighting effects, like the different color lights scrolling across the objects. Pretty cool. This here should be this is the pumpkin that I used in Michael Myers, the remake of Michael Myers I did. So this you can keyframe around. I might actually add a few more keyframe type stuff so you just don't have one flashing pumpkin, even though he's pretty cool. I mean, I don't think I've used this guy yet in anything. I am working on the like an Aztec mummy one because I purchased the MSFX crypt shows that they have, but I haven't worked this guy into it yet. Good old Michael Myers. Big man Jason. Pennywise. Showing off the deadlights. Pennywise floating around. And just a different color scheme there. These boards are cool because you can put them all around your house and basically they're already animated for you. So saves you a lot of time and gives you boards that I can actually move around to make your facade of your house look like it's actually transforming. I obviously use these in the Gremlin show I built. Very time consuming renders on these King Kong and Godzilla's. King Kong, I think it was actually worse than Godzilla because of the hair particles. That's all hair particles bouncing around on here. If you ever get familiar with Blender, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Got a bunch of Godzilla because I actually had a Godzilla show last year that I did. I actually want to improve it this year. I just haven't got around to messing around with it yet. I'm too busy messing with other stuff. But definitely got a good combinations of Godzilla scenes where you got different poses, you got different colors, breathing fire, not breathing fire. And these are the trees I was talking about. So with Godzilla, he was so big, my house only had one portion of it that actually make him fit right. So I ended up having to make the scenery move and just keep Godzilla stationary. So basically, he does his walk and stuff, but he doesn't move. Everything else moves around, which is just thinking outside the box, another way to do it. We have to be creative when we do these things. Good old Freddy. This flag actually looks really good with a different color background. With the alpha background, it's hard to see, but this, if you watch one of my pirate, zombie pirate ship show that I have, excuse me, this flag will appear and disappear in it. And one way you can change, different, like the way this is blowing, you can speed up um, the time to make it go faster or slower, so that way you can have different, the way the flag waves and stuff would actually appear differently. This guy I used in Psycho Carnival. These deers are actually going to be in a few of the winter shows that I do. I already added them into a train show that I'm doing, but there's another show that they're going to be into. Once again, it's out in the woods. But they look really good. The animation came out really well on these. That was the buck before. This is the doe. This is one of the bat monsters I use in the Lost Boys show. And these little guys I use a few times. Basically you can duplicate them, in other words, and then you can have like a whole flock of bats flying around. They're in real good quality like everything else, so you can enlarge them and they look good. And this was a little joke one that I used in the Gremlin show. That started off. Little Yoda Man. So, I have plenty more, but I tried to show you the basics of the majority of the 3D assets I have, but there is more. So if you don't see something, you're interested in something, just let me know. If you see something like a version of something in here you want to change, you can let me know. I can see what I can do. But all those there, like I said, are very helpful when it comes to trying to save time and put stuff together without having to remove black backgrounds and everything else. So I'm going to show you here real quickly. This is that winter scene that I showed you earlier at the beginning. So that scene was pulled in to basically, this is like an edit page. I'm just on a different timeline now. I pulled in the train, so you got the train tracks there. I pulled in Godzilla, and I'm using excuse me, an outside house mask. So this is the thing that if you don't have one, I believe Dan Phillips has a tutorial on how to make it. If you don't want to make it, I'll do it for you, but it's going to cost you $10 for this house mask. And I suggest you learn how to do this stuff anyway, so try to follow the tutorial on how to do it, and it's, I mean, step by step. If you haven't done it before, it could take a little bit, but I mean, they're usually pretty easy to do. So my house isn't really that complex here, so mine was pretty easy to do. If you have a really complex house or something that you're doing, I don't know, maybe you could run into some trouble, but in any case, if you want me to do it, you want to be lazy, I'll do it for you for $10. If not, this is a must-have, because without this, this is exactly what a full scene looks like. Now, excuse me, the mountains that I have in some of the other scenes don't have the sky in them, so those are different, whereas you would add your own sky or whatever you want to use it for a background. A full scene, and this is like my AI stuff that I sell, so the AI people that already purchased stuff from me are already full aware of what this is. And I actually helped some people make these already, so you definitely need this outside house mask to block the rest of the show from hitting everything else. So that's important. As you can see here, once you pull into Godzilla, I mean, basically, there's no background or whatever. I added a drop shadow to this, so normally Godzilla isn't going to have... let me take that out of there. That was just to show kind of what you can do with a shadow. In other words, to help the 3D effect out. But, in any case, let me close that up here. So you can see how clear the train is, how clear Godzilla is, how the background works, and that shut down only because that's obviously right there. It's shorter than the rest of these tracks. So, but yeah, just so you could see how some of the stuff looks against a light background, I just kind of threw that together quickly. And you don't have to, once again, you can see how you just drag and drop whatever you want into the show, and you don't have to remove anything, so it makes it super easy. Now Godzilla, if you wanted him to walk, actually physically walk across, then you would do your keyframing. But we're not going to get into all that. There's tons of videos on how to keyframe. It's super simple. But that's how easy it is to use these assets. So any questions are burno72@gmail.com. Anytime you purchase something from me, I'll always give you email support if you're running into trouble. And as well as, just in general questions on anything that has anything to do with what we're doing here with projection mapping and stuff. I can try to help you answer them. But so all my information I'll have in the post along with this tutorial, so you can actually see what you might be interested in, what you want to purchase. I always run deals, so I won't say what the deals are on here because they'll constantly be changing, so just keep your eye out on the posts, read them. It'll show you whatever deal I'm running at that particular time, and if you're interested, you can email me and I'll get back to you with the information. I use WeTransfer, so everything gets transferred through We, and you receive the items that way. Alright, happy projection mapping, people. Talk to you later. Bye.